Well, that was fun. You just gotta love technology sometimes. My goodness sakes. I set up that stream and it must think I'm on in a different time zone. It must think I'm in a different time zone. Whatever. I hope you guys can still find me. By the way, there's the halftime score. And our friend. Oh, dude. All right. There, we got someone here. Our friend Mac Jam or Stargazer just said it's his home team. I don't have a dog in this show. I don't have what is it? What is it terminology? I don't even know. A dog in this race. I have no idea. Anyway, because I'm a New England guy, right? So Patriots by default have always been my team. Not a big football guy. I grew up in a household where we didn't really have football on every Sunday or every weekend. My dad is a Renaissance man, right? Any kind of artwork, from painting to boat building to craftsmanship to rebuilding clocks to playing his violin to repairing and making violins. My dad's this ridiculous Renaissance man in the arts. I grew up in music and then I discovered making videos and stuff. So I'm in the arts. And therefore, anyway, football's not my thing. I learned to love football in college, though, because my best friend and roommate, Joel, was a big Dallas Cowboys guy. He's from Texas. So every Sunday, we'd be sitting there back in the 90s watching the Dallas Cowboys. And we're talking Troy Aikman and his whole team. And who's the running back? Anyway, yeah. And so I learned to appreciate, plus in high school, marching band. So every home game and some of the away games, I'd be in the stands playing my saxophone, and I was the halftime show, because we played our entire set, 3 to 4 songs, doing the marching band movements. We do that every football game. Hey, Young 2112, love the name. Glad you're here, bro. Yeah, not a sports guy at all. Yeah, and you know what? And that's okay. So I'm glad you said that. And I was just explaining how I'm not a big sports guy. And man, I hope Mac Jam finds us. Stargazer, if you're out there, please find us, bro. He was here, had to restart the stream. Let's get back. All right, so not a big football guy, but then I heard whispers about this guy, Bad Bunny. And then I tuned in a moment ago. I had to see 1 minute of it. I didn't hear one word of English. And yet they were bleeping curse words because I'm sure there's a delay there. So it was completely in Spanish. They were bleeping curse words, which I guess were in English. Anyway, not my thing. That type of music, not my thing. And when I heard about all this, I wanted to talk about the commercials for the big game. So we're going to talk about them. I studied advertising and I know a lot about it because that was my field of study, communications, that kind of thing. So I want to talk about them because I have some thoughts about this whole Bud Light situation. So we're going to talk about that. So yeah, I tuned in and I see a few seconds and I'm like, whoa, I am so glad I decided to do my own thing here. And hey, man, I was writing you back. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about football commercials, but we have other stuff we're going to talk about. I threw some stuff together, and that sounds like it's not very professional, but I told my wife earlier tonight, I said, you know what? I could use a producer because it's like one man shop here, right? And so I've been racing. I just put a short out. So I was editing for a couple hours. I was doing all this, I was responding to a whole bunch of comments on my channel. Been a very busy afternoon. And then I committed myself to this because it's been forever, guys, since we've done a live show. And I'm really looking forward to it. And, I know hopefully people will be trickling in soon. But for now, I'm going to keep talking. And we'll grow here. We'll grow in our little audience. All right. So I want to talk about the big game spots. I want to talk about the 50-something tour because we all have thoughts on that. And a lot of you, of course, let me know that you have tickets, you don't have tickets, you can't afford tickets, you want tickets. So there's stuff to discuss there, 50-something tour. Also, want to talk about believe it or not, the Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Great TV show. I want to talk about Severance because I just rewatched it. Great TV show. I want to Dream Theater, their new live album. And I've looked at the name. I still can't pronounce it. So, guys, tip to Dream Theater, guys. Portnoy, Petrucci. If you're gonna name an album, make it something we can pronounce. Just a thought. All right. The Rush, Grace Under Pressure, 40, and this falls in almost in the same category as 50 something tour, the Grace Under Pressure 40th anniversary, because you go to the store, right? I did my video about the release. I'm excited about the release. And I love these reissues where they've redone everything and there's some great stuff available. However, these box sets, $300, $375, and it makes you go, okay, what? In that, because I'm still pushing for it, and every time I make a video, when I even get near this subject matter, I'm asking, awesome, dude, I'm glad you're seeing him in Fort Worth. Oh, in Fort Worth. Yeah, that's where I would go, by the way. My friend Joel, we always, since counterparts, have met up and we've gone to Texas to see Rush. So, man, if I can see Rush, it'll be down where you are. Okay, Dallas, Fort Worth. Man, all the way back to like Reunion Arena, right? I saw counterparts there. I saw Test for Echo there. And then down like near either Austin or Houston, an outdoor pavilion, we saw Snakes and Arrows. But yeah, I've been going to Texas to see Rush for a long, long time. It's kind of in my neck of the woods, if you will. Grace Under Pressure, expensive. Here's why I'm bothered by it. I just want to buy vinyl. I want, I want like the Terry Brown mix. I'd love to hear that. Love to get that maybe on vinyl, something like that. But also, I want the Blu-ray. All right, I want that Blu-ray. So I want to buy that. I want to buy that. I don't need almost $400 worth of like new graphics. And a lot of them, we all agree, these new graphics, I know it's Hugh Syme. Hugh Syme. Been doing beautiful work for multiple bands, mostly Rush, for all these years. But guess what? Now it sort of looks like AI. So if your artwork, when you put your hands to the computer and you're creating something, and if it looks like a computer could have made it, you got to go, okay. And again, I would never disparage anyone or take anyone down a notch for the art that they create. Art is special, and therefore, and let's switch over and check some scores here, by the way. Multiple computers running here, refresh. It is still, oh, okay, so they're back. They're playing, it's the third quarter. And all right, so they're playing again. I'm just keeping you guys apprised of the Seattle Seahawks are still ahead. I'm in Southwest Florida, formerly New York. Hey, that sounds a lot like me, but I grew up in New England. Vermont, New Hampshire, Cape Cod, Massachusetts. I lived in upstate New York for a while. I'm a northern boy. And then I got transplanted to the South. I'm near you-ish, right? And therefore, yes, I would have to go to Florida. I'd have to go to Texas to see concerts of this caliber. There are acts that come to my area, but I'm in a small state in between. You can probably figure this out, right? I like to somehow keep a mask on where I live. And it's not because I'm ashamed of it, but I live between Florida and Texas. Let's just put it that way. In a state that doesn't get a lot of big acts. I bet you could figure out where I live. It's not Louisiana. Okay, I'm really narrowing it down. So the point is, yeah, I live in the South now. You know what? I'm glad to live in the South. I married a Southern girl. Love of my life. We have 4 children. I stayed here. I had a career here. I'm still here. And other than the tornadoes, the sweltering heat, the horrific humidity, it's a nice place to live. Because I'm used to seasons, right? I remember the brutal winters, and I'm sure you do too. I'm not sure your first name. I'm just going to call you A Young, if that's cool. So I'm sure you remember and know the brutal, brutal winters. And however, that was followed by the melting of the snow and the ice, and the water would trickle down the streets. And I remember coming back from my bus stop. There's that time right between winter, spring, especially up north in Vermont. My dad would hang sap buckets on a tree. Hey, Jason, welcome, bro. My dad would hang sap buckets. He would actually tap trees. That's how rural my life was. He would sap maple trees to make his own maple syrup on our wood-burning stove. I sound like a lumberjack hick, but that's the way we lived for a while. So I would, on my way home from the bus stop, before I got to my house, I would actually take, I can't believe I'm admitting this, the buckets of that sap water. It's just sweet sugar water straight from the maple tree. And I would just drink this stuff. And my poor dad probably missed out on a load of making maple syrup because I was drinking it straight out of the buckets. I've always had a problem with sugar. I love sugar. All right, so, but that was my upbringing. Back to the melting of the snow. I bring my Star Wars figures out, right? And there'd be these rivers running down your driveway, these rivers running down the streets, right? It's the melting into the beautiful things of spring, and the leaves come out and the green lush. Will, welcome, bro. Hey, bro. Nice to see you, man. Yeah, the melting of things, and then into a temperate summer where you could breathe outside. It's in the 70s on a hot day in the 80s. I'm discussing the North, where I grew up. And how I live in the South now, that difference between the sweltering, mind-boggling, want to jump off a bridge kind of heat and humidity to the temperance and beauty of a summer in New England. I just miss it. One of you guys in the comments I was responding to earlier today, you live up near that town of Rush. Remember, I made a short recently about that town. A town in, not sure exactly where it is, kind of upstate Western New York. And it's called Rush. Okay. And he was saying that he lived near there. Several of you have said you live near this town of Rush. Let's check in on the scores again. Oh, we're already there. All right. You're already looking at it. All right. So let me do a refresh on that, guys. So you can keep track of the score. All right. So 0-9. Seahawks are still winning. Third round. And there's your thing. So, okay. And you live near the town of Rush. Great. So, I was saying I used to live in Clifton Park, New York. And I remember that as well. All right. I'm just doing a rundown of what we're going to talk about. Some 50-something tour. This is part of the stuff. Big game commercials. I have some thoughts on that. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, Severance. I just love that show. I just rewatched it. And man, is that show stunning. All right. Moving on. Dream Theater, the live album that we can't pronounce. Of course, Grace Under Pressure 40. And then the future of music, rock, and prog. Those are just some notes I jotted earlier. I thought maybe we could talk about them. All right, so let's see, check the score again. And it's probably nothing has moved because they're probably running the 80th commercial in this hour. All right, first of the list, let's talk some. All right, Night of the Seven Kingdoms. This is a great show. And right off the bat, all right, so of course this is a kind of a spin-off, if you will, or just another show set in the world of Westeros, Game of Thrones. It is not Game of Thrones at all. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, right off the bat, in the very first episode, a couple minutes into it, right when you show like the title card, you show like, this is what the show is, right? Normally you have dun 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 dun. You know, I did that too fast. The Game of Thrones theme song cuts in, right? They even did it for House of the Dragon. However, I loved it so much in the first episode of this show. It's not a spoiler, where that song kind of almost kicks in. But then there's a scene of him taking a dump behind the tree, and the song cuts off. And right away, I felt like creatively in how they wrote the show, they're just putting their fist down going, this is not Game of Thrones. This is not House of the Dragon. This is a different kind of show. I appreciated that. As a writer and as someone who creates stuff, I'm like, okay, you're just making a statement right there. This is not your typical Game of Thrones show, and it's not. It is a very good show. And here's the thing, guys, about Night of the Seven Kingdoms. It's based on some novellas that George R.R. Martin wrote about Duncan Egg. Okay, the knight Duncan and Egg. It's a short for, I'm not going to that'll be a spoiler. In case you haven't watched it, I won't give away the spoiler. But, so it's about this knight and a squire. And what's brilliant about the show is this. I've not read any of the Game of Thrones books. I haven't read any of them. And I haven't read these novellas either. But I like going into a show fresh like that. The show tells me what I need to know. And let's just say this, by episode 3, there are some really cool revelations. And again, coming at this complete novice to the books, I was pleasantly surprised. And what I like is this. The writing of the show is very good. Okay. The cinematography is good. The acting's been great. But also the way that they've peeled back things and revealed slowly that really the show, which isn't your typical Game of Thrones, is part of the bigger narrative. And they've done this incrementally and really well over time, to the point where you're going, holy crap, we know that character. Again, no spoilers, but there's a character in here that we know from the regular Game of Thrones show, that as someone who knew Jon Snow. So again, great show. I've been enjoying it, and one of the best shows on this year truly is Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So I did that in elementary. I'm just catching. No way. Your office in Clifton Park? Small world, man. Jason, hey, anyway, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for talking. All right, next up, let's talk. This show I just rewatched, Severance. Brilliant. Atmospheric. The way they tell the show just visually in the first episode is mind-blowing if you truly analyze it. Spatially, the way they lay out the sets and the way they shoot things, they're kind of boxing you into this world, because that's what it's about. These severed employees, and I love the lead actor, by the way. He was so great in Parks and Recreation. The way they have their own lives down below, if you will, but your mind is separated into a work life and an above life, someone who lives outside the office. And if you haven't seen the show, I won't give away too many spoilers, but the atmospherics of it, the music, the cinematography, the sets, I mean, just the writing and the acting. Severance is a truly brilliant show. And I love this. A lot of times I'll wait. And we're going to talk about one more show after this. I will wait a very long time. That's right. It is shot up in New York. Very good. It's right. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna get to the Paris album, the one that I haven't even tried to pronounce it. I still can't, because I feel like I'm gonna mess it up. Okay, thank you, Will's Rush Page. Guys, if you haven't been there, Will's Rush Page, check out his YouTube channel. Great stuff, and the guy's been doing the good fight, making the great stuff for a long time. Go over there to Will's Rush Page YouTube. He's got a website too, I think. And he's on Facebook as well, has a group there. Anyway, Will's an awesome guy, massive Rush fan, has an amazing Rush collection. I appreciate you, brother. Means a lot that you're here. So thank you. Severance. It's just a great show, and I rewatched it. And here's the thing, this is my kind of my motto in life, and my motto, because I'm a nerd with TV and movies. I just am. When I really like a show, and I've pegged it as like, it's up here, right? It's just one of the good stuff, one of the good ones. I will rewatch it. Guys, check that out. If you like love a show, watch it again. You will pick up on so much more just watching it again, and it'll be mind-blowing. I use that term too much. Apologies. It truly amazes me what I pick up, what I hear, what I see, what I notice about the plot, about the characters, and all those things. The second watch, sometimes third. So yeah, if you really love a show and a show is a true quality and it's a great show, watch it again. All my favorite shows. One of my favorite shows ever, of course, is 12 Monkeys. My goal someday is to make a series about 12 Monkeys. Just talk about episode by episode. And I've seen that probably 20 times. I know, overboard. But I just rewatched Severance. It's truly brilliant. And so I suggest, if you know of a good show, watch it again. It's just my thing. All right. Hey, you're welcome, man. I appreciate you. Next up, let's talk about, speaking of shows, I started to say earlier, a lot of times I will wait before watching a show. If I have a feeling it's an okay show, or if I'm questioning it, I'll wait. Sometimes an entire season goes by. You're talking Netflix, you're talking Prime. A lot of times I just drop all 10 at a time, all 8. So, that's not, but I'll wait a whole year. And I did with this show, House of David. I just started watching it. And, I've watched the show about Jesus. What is it called? His followers, the disciples. Anyway, The Chosen. I've watched The Chosen, of course. And it's a good show, but House of David, I've been curious. I think King David is fascinating. I'm bringing this up for a reason. It kind of ties in somewhat to the Prog Rock video that I just dropped, okay? I know it's a massive video, guys. Stick with it. I actually designed it with different chapter marks to be kind of like as if you're sitting through a massive Prog Rock album. And some guy accused me of I wish you'd just get to the point. Well, that was kind of the point. I took my time with this video. I wanted to talk about all these bands at length. I wanted to show their albums. I wanted to take the time, just like Dream Theaters take the time. I wanted to take my time with this one, and I did. So it is a long watch, but there's chapter marks in there if you want to skip ahead. But I designed it like a prog rock song. There's a an overture at the end. There's a grand finale. There's a coda. Anyway, probably way too much for YouTube. The thought that went into it, but that's just how I think. Just reading your stuff. All right. So back to House of David. I waited. But I also wanted to make sure if I'm going to watch any show that has to do with the Bible, I want to make sure it's not just some Hollywood dude or woman that has zero interest in, has zero faith, has zero background with the biblical things or God. I'm like, someone just cashing in on no. So I looked it up. All right. And the guy does this kind of work. So I'm like, okay, you're sort of in that space. Great. So I checked it out. It is a great show. And I'm bringing up House of David for a reason. In my Prog Rock video, I did my best off the top of my head to go back to the dawn of time, when man and women started playing music. And back then it was on a lyre, this multi-stream harp-like instrument, and there were different little hand bell things and different small drums that you would do with your singing. It's before instruments truly came into their own. And I tried to take us back in the Prog Rock video to that time where music truly was created and written and played to worship God. And then I thought of King David, the book of Psalms. Just how important music is to God and to the Bible. The book of Psalms, 150 songs and or poems in there, and many of them are King David's, or David. David and Goliath, the guy with the sling that took out Goliath, this David. And so anyway, that's why I wanted to check out the show, but this is why it all ties in. This show does a beautiful job of showing what a great musician he was, what a great singer he was, a songwriter, how he learned poetry from his mom. And he's renowned and comes before the king and queen because he can. It just really focuses on music. The importance of music in those early days. We're talking 1,000 years before Jesus walked the earth. Anyway, and I've just been enjoying it. Again, not everyone's cup of tea. Cool. And I don't expect all of you to want to watch it, but if you do like this type of entertainment, do check out the House of David. I'm glad I waited, and it's been pretty darn good so far. So that's what I've been watching. Just rewatched Severance. Talk about, I know, between Night of the Seven Kingdom and Severance to a biblical-based thing. I know, I'm really running the gamut here, right? And just type of content and type of, you got me. All right. Oh, Caprica. I was a huge, I'm glad I saw that. I'm a huge Battlestar Galactica fan. I was there in the earliest days when it was still on Syfy, and I own them all on Blu-ray. Yeah, I really, big fan of Battlestar. I talk about a multi-watch, right? I like Battlestar so much. I've probably seen it at least 4 to 5 times all the way through. Yeah. Yeah, I love Battlestar, and for what it was, the effects were amazing. But the acting was great. But they took something that was truly campy from the 80s, I think, mid to late 80s, and they took something campy like that, and by updating it and taking it seriously, it became a great show. It's not without its fault. What show isn't? But I really enjoyed that. I never did get into Caprica. That's interesting. I tried to watch it, but it wasn't my thing. I felt somewhat removed from that. I enjoyed the complete narrative of, the human race on the run with the Cylons chasing after them. But also, the more they brought in the Cylons, you start to question what's good and evil and who's right and who's wrong. And you happen to be a Cylon. And they had the mystery pack of them, right? These humans, they weren't sleepers, but they're like, oh crap, I'm a Cylon. Yeah, that blending of things, it kept us on our toes, and it was a lot of fun. Of course, that's Ronald D. Moore, who co-wrote that and ran that show with his friend David. He's gone on to do Outlander, and he's doing something else these days too. But yeah, he's a darn good showrunner and someone who creates and runs shows. He does some good stuff. Buck Rogers. Speaking of Buck Rogers, the guy who played the president, who played the original Starbuck, I believe. I think I got that right. Okay. The old campy version, they brought him forward to be like, well, he wasn't a president. He was like a uprising type leader, and then he became president at one point. You know who he is. He is in one of the most campiest movies ever. It's on Mystery Science Theater 3000. I can't remember the name right now, but man, he was in some camp. Oh, that was an awful movie. Okay. She's a pretty lady. Yeah, and by the way, it's funny to see her. I love how she's shown up on Community at that kind of that Doctor Who-ish kind of thing. By the way, I love Community, guys. That's a show I've seen multiple times. So on this episode of Community, Tricia Helfer was there, and that was really cool as a guest spot. But also, you probably know this, but at that wedding on the planet Squanch, guys, when I say the word Squanch, you know what I'm saying? Rick and Morty. At this weird alien wedding, Tricia Helfer and what's his name? Help me out. Anyway, those two, all right, who were the big pair in that show, they played robots. So kind of on the nose casting, but anyway, they were in it also. I do love that though. These shows that we love, then to see guest spots by them. And Ascension. I remember Ascension. Yeah, you guys say these, and I'm with you. I'm back when we had Syfy Channel. All right, and that's a whole nother subject. How the Syfy network basically evaporated because those productions went to Netflix, went to Prime, went to these other Apple TV, went to all these other streaming outfits. The Syfy Channel just kind of whisked away, and the Universal Productions just kind of gave up on it. But in those days, though, I was watching the Syfy Channel, Syfy Network, whatever, hours upon hours every week. That when I wasn't watching like superhero shows on the CW, before they turned to crap, by the way. But yeah, me and my kids, we used to watch The Flash, but I'd come over here and watch BSG, and I watch Ascension to, there was a show called Defiance. I mean, I could keep going and going and going. I was a huge fan of the Syfy Network. Oh, one of my favorites, though. You guys remember Dark Matter? About the crew who wakes up on a derelict spaceship and they're all in hibernation and they forget who they are. If you haven't checked that out, I believe it's on the CW and it might be it's in a couple places. If you do a search, you can find out where Dark Matter is these days. And that's a fun show. I really enjoyed that show. Buck Rogers had enough. Right. All right. Next up, let's talk about Grace Under Pressure 40. I've said it once and I'll say it again. The box set that you see pictured there, I wish that we could buy the pieces individually. I'm all for a big box set. I own a couple. I have Permanent Waves. I have the first album box set, the unboxed, or whatever they call it, reboxed. Will, you know this. But so I have two, and then some of them I only have the CD version, but my ask, Getty, Alex, Rush, Backstage, whoever's making the call, please at some point let me buy the Terry Brown mix digitally on vinyl. Let me get the Blu-ray, just that. And my additional thought is, if you and I, maybe we don't want to or cannot buy the $300, $375 dollar box set, guess what? I'm in that store. I'm buying a Blu-ray. Okay, it's whatever it costs. It's definitely not $100. I'm buying that Blu-ray set. Okay, just that. But guess what? Here's where it'll work out for Rush monetarily, is that I now am encouraged to go buy myself a t-shirt as well, right? Since I'm not chunking down almost $400, I'm like, okay, I'm spending 40, I could spend a few more bucks and get free shipping. You know what I mean? Like, it falls into that thing where you're buying some extra stuff, right? A value add kind of proposition. I come here for the Blu-ray, I walk out with a hat and a mug. You know what I mean? So there's definitely, there's a case to be made there for something that's not just this massive box set. The box set's great. The box set's cool. I made an entire video about it. I'm not saying that, but for those of us who maybe can't, maybe won't, don't want to, or just think it's too expensive, let us buy them individually. There's my pitch. I just want to throw it out there. But yeah, guys, your response to my video about this has been great. I do thank you. It is cool. And one of the things that I keep hearing back from you guys is the fact that how much so many of you over and over just today I looked at and responded to a bunch of comments how you love 80s Rush. You think Grace Under Pressure is underrated. You see so much value and coolness in Signals. You even love Power Windows, right? You know, so the love for the 80s Rush is there. The nostalgia built into it. You guys sharing with me the fact that you are, Grace Under Pressure or Power Windows or one of those albums was your first. And really, my first new album, I mean, 2112 was first. And then I got Chronicles. You got my time frame, right? Late 80s. Yeah, it was around Hold Your Fire, around Chronicles, and then, of course, eventually Presto. That's when I joined the game, okay? For some of you, I'm a newbie. But then again, I remember the excitement, right? And I've shared this story 100 times. I'm going to do it one more time, just talking about how nostalgia plays so much into this. Boone's Revenge. Hold My Fire is my first live concert. That's cool. That's cool. Mine, Roll the Bones. Worcester, Mass. All right. So nostalgia, how we were, who we were, where we were, is so important to our stories. The reason Counterparts resonates so much with me is because of where I was at the time. College, freshman year, Joel and I, my fellow Rush fan, and we within 2 weeks became roommates. It was meant to be. We're doing our laundry. So we pack up when another guy lives next door to us in our dorm. We pack up in his little Isuzu Trooper or whatever the heck it was. We're driving over to do laundry. And on the radio, it's like, whatever that rock show was back then, Rock Line or whatever it was. On the radio, the guy's like, Rush, new album. And then we're just, time stopped for us. Time stood still. And they played so much of Counterparts that night. They had interviews with Getty and Alex live on the radio, on FM radio, okay, long before streaming, 1993, 4, whatever it was. And we sat in that little Isuzu for 2 hours listening to this live broadcast on your honeymoon. Cool. Yeah, now talk about special. Yeah. Mine was a Test for Echo. I got married in 96. So I know the time frame. Of course, I wasn't too worried about Rush on that honeymoon. I had other things on my mind. Okay, I said it. All right, anyways, jeez. We sat there, right? We were captivated by the radio, the spirit of that radio, and listening to new Rush. And again, that transformative part of my life. And again, I've told the story 100 times, but I do it because I think so many of us share that. You with your honeymoon, you with your first, you just share whatever, your first, Hold Your Fire concert. We remember those benchmark moments, right? Those special moments. And that's what's so cool. It's like, we all have talked a lot about, we've shared volumes with each other about who we are, what we've been through, and what has Rush meant to us through the years. We do that for a reason. There is something special there. If you watch my new Prog video, you can see 30 plus bands that I talk about, show, discuss. And I like those bands, but you really love only a few bands, right? That mean something to you, have meant something to you, have been there in your darkest hour, and have been there at the best parts of your life. That's the beauty and power of music. And I should have turned my phone down. Sorry, guys. That I love that about. I'm trying to turn my phone down. I love that about music. All right, whatever. I'm gonna put it over here. There you go. All right, so Grace Under Pressure, darn expensive. I love that Counterparts came in on your honeymoon. Love it. Gotta reach that alien shore. All right, next up. Gotta love being live. I have to cough on camera. Is that supposed to say? I'm gonna try now. I've not tried to actually say this out loud yet. Quarantine? Whatever. All right. Dream Theater's new album. Will, thank you. At least I've heard something now. Earlier today, since I don't own it yet, I will. I'll probably get the Blu-ray, something like that. I brought up my. We have, of course, like Amazon Music. I'm not an Apple guy. Amazon Music, and I pull it up, and I see it's like 20 something songs on there. Very cool, long, beautiful list. And oh, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's all I gotta say. Off topic. Power Windows gets better every year. Ah, yeah, yeah. And on that note about Power Windows, yeah, and sometimes it takes just one song, right? Like I made this short recently when I made my short about like Middletown Dreams, just for an example, somewhat on topic here, is that that song, because of the lyrics, because of how it resonates to me as a human, as a young guy, as a kid who grew up in a small town, in that middle town in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, that's my story. Parts of that are truly my story. The boy with his best friend. I've experienced that in real life. Um, my good friend, we lived in Vermont. We were both saxophone players, and he was brilliant. He was the most insane saxophone player in ninth grade. He got on that figurative bus to blaze across the stars. In that he's been a professional sax player for most of my adult life. He teaches saxophone. He has a sponsorship from Yamaha, and I've been rewatching Daredevil too. I love Daredevil. In the top echelon of my favorite shows of all time is Daredevil, the original Daredevil. Season 2, episode 5, I think, or 6. Daredevil and Elektra go to a party, New York City. This really fancy place, right? And Elektra needs to break into a place upstairs, so they go to the party as a cover. If you watch Daredevil, you like Daredevil, watch that scene again. The sax player on the stage in that episode of Daredevil is my good friend Nathan Childers. We grew up together. We learned saxophone together. His dad was a music teacher, and so it's in his DNA, by the way. I mean, he is music. But he's gone on to be that pro sax player guy. Something that I never would achieve, never wanted to achieve. But I was that kid, right? Walking through the fields of early May. My friend gets on a bus. That was my story because I felt it about Nathan. I was so proud that my friend went on to be a pro. He's cut at least 2 albums of his own. Again, it's been on Daredevil in the background. And if you watch that episode, yeah, check out that's Nathan. My son is basically named after him. My youngest son is named Nate, named after my childhood best friend, the sax player. So there you go. Dream Theater album. Yeah, guys, I want to check it out. And really, why am I talking about it if I haven't listened to it yet? A, the name is kind of weird. Okay. But B, I got to see Dream Theater 40th anniversary. I got to just see them for this last tour. Wow. I'm going to say something kind of controversial now. Is it? Don't care. I'm just not as big a fan of Dream Theater anymore. When Dream Theater is doing true progressive rock, okay, which they have done brilliantly through their career. Scenes from a Memory too, right? And I could pick out songs from many of their albums, and where it's prog. It is beautiful. They're long and complicated without being completely indulged, without being completely metal. Nothing against metal. You know that. I love heavy music. It is my bread and butter. I love heavy rock. However, when it feels like to me, Dream Theater has become almost exclusively heavy. I know they'll play the old stuff, yes, but their new stuff is so driven by this translate to oh, thank you. Thank you, Will's Rush Page. Whatever that, I still don't want to say it. Dream Theater's new live album translates to 40th. That makes all the sense in the world. Okay. Because it has to do with the 40th. Awesome. Dude, glad you're here. But yeah, I'm not as big of a Dream. Now, if Dream Theater in their next album hold back on on the hardcore, wrong word, pulled back on the constant metal sound and went to more prog again, I would be front and center. I just know I felt when I went to see them this last tour, the 40th anniversary. My Joel and I went to see them down in Dallas, right in the middle of Dallas, in a little small cool theater. It was great. When we saw them that time, I was it was taxing sitting through 3 hours of that. I'm getting old, aren't I? But that's just me. I love the prog. I think you feel me on that word, right? I need some examples, but I love the prog side of Dream Theater. I'm not as in love with the heavy. Matt, welcome, bro. I was just committing career suicide by saying that I'm not as in love with Dream Theater anymore. Everyone's like, click, I'm done. So anyway, I just want to say that out loud. It's just what I've been feeling for a long time. And therefore, yeah, because all right, that's all I'm going to say on that. Matt, I'm glad you're here, bro. No worries on being late. We've talked about several things so far, and I'm just glad you're here. So next up, let's talk about, before we get to the, that might be a good segue though, the future of music and stuff like that. Hey, let's do one thing though. Hey, oh, cool. Hey, I'm so glad you're here, Matt. All right. And Will's at, hey, Will, cool. All right. Before we get to the future, whatever, of music and stuff like that, let's, I want to know, which one of you guys out there, do you have 50-something tickets? Do you want 50-something tickets? Just tell me your story real quick. I know I've read your comments. I kind of know where a lot of you are, but I just want to kind of get that ball rolling some. Curious about the 50-something tour, about where you guys stand with that, just off the top of my head. Also, you know, we've talked about several TV shows and you know, so I tune in, kind of coming full circle here. Sorry about the throat clearing. We are live. Coming full circle. And let's do something while we're at it. We have, wrong mouse. All right, guys, it's now 0 to 12. All right, there's your score update. 0 to 12, they're in the third. Just a little bit left of the third. So, there you go. I was saying at the outset, A, I've always been a New England fan, just by default, because I'm from there. B, never been a huge football fan. I'm an artsy-fartsy, I'm an art kind of guy, music, whatever. But if I had to choose a team, yeah, it would be New England. That's where I'm from. And then I tune in to the first minute and a half of the Super Bowl. I just said the word. You know, did you know they have a bloody trademark on that? That's why I've been using the term the big game, because, you know, I don't know what's allowed. They literally have a copyright on the word, on that, on the big bowl. All right, so yeah, the big game. I tuned into the halftime show. I have no idea who this rabbit person is. I know his name's Bad Bunny. But dude, A, it wasn't in English. I'm not against Spanish. My son and his wife speak it fluently. It's not about that. But dude, where are you? Okay, I shouldn't have started with that. But B, it's not my type of music. C, after my ears started bleeding, I had to turn it off. Wink, wink. It's not my thing. And I know I'm getting old, but my goodness sakes. And what's funny is I just found this funny. I did hear this much. He's sing rapping, whatever the heck it is, in Espanol. And literally I heard beep, beep, beep. I was in here setting up for the live stream and I heard beep, beep, beep. Meaning somehow he's sing rapping, whatever it is, in Spanish, and they're having to bleep out curse words. I don't know how that works. Like, okay, so anyway, yeah, wow, that wasn't my thing. And when I heard that this person would be the halftime show, man, I miss the days where they had people that I like, people that had, I don't know, you know, I'm digging a grave right now talking about this, but I think most of you share my opinion. It's just not my thing, man. I'm just trying to be kind about this, but oh, dude, all right, 300 Upper West Side. Thank you, man. Yes, yes, the Patriots and Bears. I remember those days. I do. Yes, of course I was watching out of curiosity. It was I watching Bad Bunny of course. I had to, because I know that it would A come up, B I sort of call this a halftime showy kind of thing. So therefore I need to at least because I don't know any of his music. I barely know what he looked like. I think I might know where he's from. I really don't know what kind of music. I mean, I know nothing. So I had to watch about a minute and it was pure curiosity. And after the disorientation passed, I'm like, I clicked and I turned it off. I'm like, okay, that's enough of that. Not my thing. So 500 each, lower 200. That's not bad for lower two. Dude, I'm glad you're taking your son, Will. Is that your first? Is that your son's first? I wonder. That's great. You know, and we've talked about this a few times. It's so cool to have this opportunity, 50 something tour, because I've heard countless times from you guys that this is a new opportunity to bring your loved ones, to bring your kids. It didn't exist before. There's a reason why. What tour was it? It was after Images and Words 25. It was, the Metropolis 2 tour. Okay. Dream Theater, 2019-ish, where they played all of Metropolis 2. I brought both my sons to two different venues of that. One son down in Texas, and the other one at Graceland in Memphis. Because I said to myself and to them, I'm taking you to see Dream Theater because we will never get a chance to see Rush. Yeah, that was 2019. I had, of course, seen the 40th anniversary tour. I've seen R40 of Rush, right? And I knew that was it. That was it. And therefore, I had to take them to Dream Theater, especially that album, Metropolis 2. And seeing that live was amazing and stunning. The only thing that comes close to being that was seeing Images and Words live in its entirety. But I just remember we're down in Texas. My oldest son, Ethan's with us, and Joel and we were singing at the top of our lungs. It was the best night singing along to Dream Theater. It was brilliant beyond words. And I'll always cherish that memory of especially some of those Dream Theater tours, because again, I thought it was over, didn't we all? I mean, none of us expected this. That's why it was such a knee-jerk, breakneck, reaction by all of us. Who got what? Are you serious? You're going back on tour? I mean, that was our take, right? It was like beyond words. And then especially like, and you've got a lovely German female drummer. Okay. Like, it's like, it was just cognitive dissonance. It was over. And then came flooding in. We're like, yeah, man, I miss Neil. And then the questions started that we all have just naturally when you're connected to something so closely. Rush, and especially Neil. That was a hard loss. And when you're connected to it so closely, we have questions, we have feelings, we have concerns. Okay. And we've talked a lot about that here on this channel. Primus, Claypool, Delirium. Oh, I know. I heard about that. Yeah, look at that. $78. Nice. I heard about that tour. Primus, yes. You know what? That was an accidental omission, leaving that Primus. I thought about him while I was working on that Prog video. I thought about Les Claypool. But again, I said in that video, in my most recent video, the Prog Rock documentary thing, I said, guys, I need your help because I won't think of everything. I can't. So I'm glad you're talking about Claypool, and I'm glad you're going to see him. That's so cool. And isn't it cool? If you guys haven't seen it yet, on the Paramount Network Geddy Lee has a 4-episode TV show about bass players, and one of them has Les Claypool in it. And it was really cool to see how close friends Claypool and Geddy are. It was just really cool. They have a real friendship there. Yes, it's your first son show. See, I mean, look, that's just everything else aside. Yeah, different drummer. Okay, Bob. Put that aside. You get to bring your son to hear Rush songs live with 2/3 of our original OG crew. That's special. And Will, I'm really happy for you, bro. That's awesome. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're basically my parents' age. Yeah, they've always been. Yeah, they're in their 70s. And a comment earlier today I responded to was really flippant, sarcastic, but and I've heard this before. Who will be the singer? And that's their subtext way of saying, can Getty do it? Can Getty sustain a tour of this magnitude? I've said it before. I mean, I hope, right? Can Getty do it? Can Alex do it? I hope. I like to think I want to trust the boys. I want to trust Getty and Alex that they know themselves, they know what they're capable of, and therefore, and hopefully Getty musically will tune things down if they need to, right? Maybe they could bring songs down to where he can handle it without going, like, I hope that they'll make those. I know I would. If I had limitations placed upon me physically and with my voice like that, I would make every effort to make sure I could do it, then make sure I could do it well. Knowing what kind of experts, wrong word, knowing the excellence that Getty, Neil, and Alex have held themselves through the years, that level of excellence that we came to expect. It wasn't just like, man, I hope they're darn good this time. No, it was, they're going to be this good because they're always this good, or at least they're doing their best to reach that, right? That's the best art ever, when someone just always is pegging for the very best of themselves. Okay, so therefore, I doubt that's changed. I have to put my faith in that they know what they're doing. If something changes, we'll find out real darn quick. 2 out of 3 ain't bad cute. Yeah. Man, I'm starving. I could go for some meatloaf right now. Man, you know what? And it is like the big game today, right? And let's switch over to find out what our halftime, or what our, dude, they're getting trounced. We're in the fourth quarter, guys, and Seattle's up by 18. They're in the fourth quarter. Again, not the football guy here, but it's looking like they might actually win this. Unless New England went on the most insane run and pass that you can ever imagine, and Seattle just kind of lay down on the turf and let them run by. But again, what do I know? So, hold on a second. Real-time auto-tune? I don't know. Excellent question, Matt. Yeah, probably. Knowing whatever tech slash music company is out there that might have this technology, $20 says it has 2 letters before it. Because what doesn't these days? AI. Man, I'm sick of hearing about AI. Are you guys sick of hearing about AI? This really chaps me. All right. I never say that. I have no idea what chaps me means. Okay. This is what bugs me. And I don't even want to bring it up, but I'm going to. So, stream of consciousness, you're welcome. I've been working in video for 30 plus years, over 33 years. I'm pretty darn good at what I do. I can work in Photoshop. I can do graphics. I mean, from end to end, I can make videos. However, what hurts is when someone accuses me of using AI. It's like, and it's been on a rare occasion, right? But these days, that actually passes through my mind. If I cut something and create something that's pretty darn good, I have people going like, oh, I wonder if that's even real. I mean, no, it's digital, but I created it with these hands right here and this mind right here. Have I used AI elements? Yes. And not ashamed to do so. For instance, 3 seconds at the beginning of my Grace Under Pressure, I took their thing, the hands holding the egg, okay? And I said, hey, AI, can you make a little video out of this? It was 3 seconds in a short. I'm not ashamed to do that. I'm not going to spend 4 days animating something by hand. But everything else I make from scratch, from my own mind, with my own hands, and 30 plus years experience. I bring all that up, not to prop myself up, not about ego. That's the last thing that I'm about, is ego, to my detriment. But to talk about AI, that it's here, and that's all people talk about now. It's ridiculous. And I know I used to watch the YouTube channel, the Y Files, no more because of it. Yeah, exactly. And I know, and we all, it's kind of weird, right? Do you guys remember the Christmas movie? Robert Zemeckis, I believe, is the guy who directed it. The Christmas train one, whatever it's called, the kids on the train that go up to Christmasville to see Santa. Anyway, and what's his name? I shouldn't have brought this up. No, nothing's in my. And now I need AI. um. Anyway, so it's let me jump ahead. It's called The Uncanny Valley. That movie and some others like it, in the early days of animation when they were trying to animate humans, they tried to make them look real, but the tech wasn't there yet. The uncanny valley is when you look at it and you're kind of aghast because it wants to look human, but it looks like a wax mask that's moving, right? That's that uncanny valley. That's what it's called. Thank you, Polar Express. Apologies for not getting the name. All right. And Tom Hanks plays multiple characters. Now we're caught up. It's the uncanny valley. All right. Why do I bring this up? Because Pixar was smart. When Pixar made Toy Story and Beyond and all their movies, they don't try to make their human characters look fully human. There's a Pixar look to them, isn't there? They're animated characters that are humans, but they don't try to make them truly look human. And they haven't, and that was such a smart move creatively. We are to a point. Think about Rogue One, where they have come pretty darn close, and since then even more so. Pretty darn close. In Rogue One, though, they brought him back from the dead, and Princess Leia and Rise of Skywalker. But in Rogue One, they brought out the old guy, General Tarf or whatever his name is, and they basically rose him from the dead, if you will, and had a CGI and in that those were still kind of early days. They're still working on it. Why am I bringing up the uncanny valley in this whole thing? Because I feel that instinctively, you and I just this kind of know. We have a feeling, a visceral reaction going, I think a computer made that. I think that's AI, right? And it's almost like we're on guard to it now, too. For instance, the cupping robot hands here we go. The cupping robot hands of this album. Give me a second. There we go. Real-time production here. All right. Those hands. So many of us had this gut reaction going, okay, is that AI? No, it's Syfy taking probably some modern shortcuts, pulling out stuff from stock photos and stuff, putting them together in Photoshop. He did most of the work, I hope. Syfy is a brilliant artist who's been giving us brilliance for decades. Love the Syfy. But when we see that, I think me instinctively, my first thing, oh frick! I thought this new album cover, which I don't care for, was AI. I thought maybe one of us fans out there had AI quote make it right, and then I'm like, holy crap, that's from Rush. No, Alex tweet. Like I found out that was real. So anyway, that's my take on AI these days. I think we just have a feeling something's and sometimes it's blaring. Right? I've seen some photos where there's phantom hands and there's some weird crap going on and AI's made a composite within 3 minutes. If you ask me to go into Photoshop, and what is a composite? A composite is putting together multiple layers and images, right? You have a person, you have a background, you have layers, and you have titles, right? And that's how they're represented in the software, different layers, and same with video and so on. You have layers of things building one composite image, right? A full image that you see. That's called a composite. If you ask me to do that, you better check in 4 hours from now. Minimum 4 hours. Because it takes a long time. It takes a long time to truly get it right. And at least it does for me. I'm a perfectionist. Anyway. So there's my little aside on AI and compositing and that kind of stuff. And don't care much for the originals. Not sure. Yeah. Now, yes, the original one. You're talking about the one with the kind of weird head and the weird pastel seascape and the P and the G. Is it? Now, a lot of us have shared that we do kind of like the so yeah, there's that one here. I wonder if I could pull. Yeah, I can. Give me a second, guys. A lot of us have shared. I'm trying to get to an image for us here. The fact that this is why I need a producer. No, hold up. I have it. All right. Let me talk and do stuff at the same time. My apologies, guys. I don't know what. We've shared the fact that we like that vice grip thing, right? Of course, my wife said it's not a vice grip, but okay. This is a lot of bloody work just to get this up. All right, here we go. All right. So yeah, I think you were probably talking about this right here, the original cover. Yeah. But we like that kind of that vice, the egg and the vice kind of look to it. Yeah. So did I just stretch myself? Man, I need a producer, guys. Let's see. There we go. And speaking of, that's still for pre-order. Let's see. 300. Okay, so that one is not sold out. The last time I checked, guys, the $2.99 one had sold out. No. Okay, it looks like they got some more in stock. Check it out right there. Pre-order, expected to ship on March 11th. Okay. There you go. Oh, now we've gone down that road. Like men in blank accounts. Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, catching up on yourself. Listen, guys, there's stuff going on out there that I probably need to check in on. This has been lovely. I cannot thank you enough for joining me. I did kind of want to talk about the future of music and all that kind of stuff, but we're going to save that for another day. And I just, man, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for just being part of my channel, for subscribing and watching my videos. You guys mean a lot to me. And I apologize for not keeping up as well as I could recently. Let's just check in with the game one time. Checking up on my stuff as well as I could recently. As you know, the comments. There's been a lot going on lately. I try not to share too much of that and talk. Wow, New England has scored, guys. Okay. New England has scored. Look at that. All right. Who knows? And maybe some of you guys are gonna want to go watch the game, but thank you once again for being here. And check out my new video. It's a prog documentary, and what I'm going to do is I have some more stuff to release on this, and I'm going to do that. I also have an entire series. Some of you might get into this, some of you might not. Wherein in this series, I am going, because I've been asked. Okay, let me just reset the table real quick. My friends, you guys out there, people, my coworkers, and when I worked in the restaurants, meaning people from across my life, has said, Eric, will you show me and talk about video production? How do we do this, like the live switching stuff? How do we record ourselves? How do we edit the video? What kind of microphone, cameras, lights, this kind of thing? How do I do that? And it's taken me a long time, but I'm finally getting to, I've already made 3 or 4 videos so far. I'm going to get them out soon. So if you have any interest at all, or if you just want to hang out with me while I talk about nerdy stuff, those are coming very soon. Video production videos. And I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about editing. Been editing for 33 plus years, even before that in high school with just tape to tape and camcorders. But true nonlinear editing I've been doing for over 30 years. And I used to teach it professionally. I traveled all over North America, teach in film houses and in production companies, teaching people Avid systems and how to edit and all that kind of. So the point is, that's a whole subset of me that you guys don't know as well. Point is, you're going to see the boots on the ground live time of that in these videos, like me doing production. Let's look at the scores again. Wrong screen. Here we go. All right, still 7-19. There you go, guys. And you're very welcome, Will's Rush page. Guys, check out Will's Rush page, YouTube. He's got some great stuff. And talk about Will's Rush page, right? Relentless, prolific with your releases. Kudos, dude. Anyway, it's like every other day or 2 hours I turn around, I'm like, oh, he's got a new video. Like, anyway, I can't begin to keep up with the output that Will does. So just giving you an idea, if you're into Rush, and he does some other stuff too, check out Will's Rush page, please. He's a great guy. He's always supported me, and I like him. I have a link on my page to him. So anyway, I really love your stuff, Will. Matt A. Young, Jason, man, and the other guys here, thank you for being here. I'm going to miss a couple names. Apologies. It's way up in the chat. But again, thank you. Check out my new videos, and I appreciate you. Kill them with kindness. That was a stupid thing to say. Oh, that's the worst way in the world to wrap up this video. Anyway, guys, I say thank you because I mean it. I appreciate you. And Matt, you're my brother, man. I appreciate you. You've been in some of you guys. I'm going to wrap it up after this, I promise. A lot of you guys, and I tag you in my videos, have gone into that true friendship zone. That has been a blessing I never expected. When in the early days and up until today, when I pray about this, when I say, hey, God, please just bless I'm going to work my tail off, bless my efforts. You know, when I'm talking to God in the dark somewhere, I'm thanking him for the friendships I've made from this. And that means so much to me. And just to have friends who share the same kind of nerdy loves that I love. Anyway, yeah, I'm really pouring it on, but I mean every word. All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Guys, thank you again. You guys have a good night. See you next time.